It's time for the Film Crickets with Jay Fortier, Chris Martineau, and Melanie Howerton. On this week's episode, Jay, Chris, and Melanie review Chris's all-time favorite movie, the 1975 American thriller film, Jaws. Does it stand the test of time? Let's find out. Your Film Crickets are on now.
All right. Hey, friends. My name is Jay Fortier. Welcome to the Film Crickets. And I am accompanied by my good friends, Chris Martineau.
Hi, what's happening?
Yeah, what's up? And also my other good friend, Melanie Howerton. How are you, Melanie?
Good, how are you?
Doing well. We are on uncharted waters today. I know. Come on. It was like you lobbed it up. I lobbed it up and I was like this. I got to do it.
Yep.
Now, for like the last, we're coming upon 2 years on the show. 2 years almost. In October, it'll make it 2. And we have mentioned so many times that your favorite movie of all time is Jaws. And we are going to just attack this. I know it doesn't fit into our timeline that we normally stick to, which is 80 to 99. We are not beholden to anybody who is like some sort of a parent company that's going to tell us that you have to follow the rules. We make the rules because this is our show, and then we got to, it's a part of our childhood, this movie, all three of us, you know what I mean? So, a lot of people's childhoods. So it'll be fun.
It certainly is open to a lot of discussion because it just has a lot of elements in it that work universally and also don't work universally. I know even though it is my favorite movie, it's flawed. It's got problems. And Melanie didn't like it that I picked on Halloween for the little things. But there are little things in this one, too, that I will point out and go, that's kind of bullshit. But we'll bring that up later. So again, even I recognize that, you have to call it like it is, right? But before we mention, mentioned this before, and so I gotta say something about this movie. I'm gonna ask it to you guys as well. The reason is it anybody else's favorite film? Am I the only one?
I love it, but I can't
this
say
is a number one.
Oh my God.
But is it your favorite?
So yeah, it's like probably Halloween's my favorite. But with this movie, every single time this movie is on, I watch it. Every single time. My mom lives with me. It's so funny because we've seen it 10,000 times. I didn't even watch it for this. And she'll call me. She'll text me and she'll go, Halloween is on. You want to come watch it? I'm like, okay. Not Halloween, Jaws. Cool. And I'm like, every single time, every time. So I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've seen this movie. So yes, it's definitely one of my favorites. Probably not my favorite. Okay. I've got to think Halloween is probably my favorite. But with Jaws, I love this movie and I love watching it. And I'll constantly watch this probably for the rest of my life. And whenever it's on, I'm going to watch it.
Okay. Do you like Jay? What's your deal? What's your relationship with this fine film?
I love it. I can't say it's my number one, but I love it. I did see it in the theater, but I think it was, like how movies came back out for like re-releases because they didn't really have videotapes back then in the late 70s. If they did, not many people owned them. And so I remember seeing it in the theater, and we discussed it with our neighbors. I was living in Woonsocket at the time, and my neighbor friend, who was the same age as me, we were little. I wasn't really that scared. But he was, so like every time he would close his eyes, I thought it was something I had to do. Like we were just doing it, like every time. Oh no, it's the barrels. I'm like, why are we afraid of the barrels? Okay, we're afraid of the barrels. Right. But no, it was still an exciting film. I really liked it. As soon as part 2 came out, we saw it in the theater too. We were very excited. I was lucky. Hey, make a face. But you know what? I dodged number 3. Yeah, and that's all that matters.
And
what about 4? Watch it?
4 I saw in the theater when I was like 15, but you know what? When you're 15 years old, when you're 15, but I wasn't looking at it with a critical eye. I was looking at it like, let's have some fun and but but I wasn't looking for like how bad is this going to be. So no, it's such a great film. It really makes you, we'll capture all of this, but I think I don't know. It gives you that summer vibe. It really makes except for when you do see leafless trees in the background.
I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say it gives you that summer vibe because whenever I see a disembodied leg floating, sinking to the bottom of the ocean, I think summer. I thought that.
No, but you know what? Like I look at the background, I see this. I swear, I was like, this is November, isn't it? I was like, we'll get to that, but. Yeah, no, it's so good.
Cool. So I'll just get a quick thing on this. I recognize that there are better movies. In fact, in my list of my top 10, there are better movies. I mean, Return of the King is a better movie than this. There's no doubt about it. You can make the argument that like John Wick 2 is a better movie just to watch and it's more fun.
I don't know what Return of the King is, so I don't think it's better than John
Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings.
Never watched any of them, but
that's cool. And if you don't dig fantasy, don't try because it's 9 hours of a lot of walking. But anyway, so the bottom line here is I recognize that there are better films, but I have a soft spot for this movie, even though for a lot of reasons. And the main one is it's the first movie that my parents let me stay up late to watch on TV that had cursing, at least the mild cursing that you could get on broadcast television, and they still had Jesus Christ and Son of a Bitch and all that stuff. Maybe they dropped they edited a few shits, but they still had those, and that made me feel cool. Like I was watching grown-up movies, and so for that reason, I always go back to. I don't even know if I thought that at the time, but I think that now. And it's also one of those things where I didn't necessarily think it was a scary movie. It didn't make me not want to swim in the ocean. Like people in the 70s didn't swim in their pools because they were afraid of like sharks. Like I've heard that more than once. That's an irrational fear, but that's the power of this movie. So I was never scared of this movie. I was scared for the jump scares. There are some good jump scares in the film, particularly if you haven't seen it, but it didn't make me not want to go to the ocean. Even though the ocean is terrifying. You guys ever
I think it's terrifying.
It is terrifying. You ever ever watch, and we just came out of Shark Week, but you ever watch any like nature documentaries and they have a camera looking down into the ocean and all you see is nothing except the streams of sunlight coming from the top and you go, anything could be down there?
Yes.
Like that's horrifying. Now I know that nothing's coming up to get me, but it's still terrifying because it's too
all bodies of water are to me. You don't know what's down there. It's like you have no clue what's down there.
Right.
Well, yeah.
It could be a lake,
you had already said that they mapped out more of Mars than they have our own ocean.
Yep.
And that's like right there. There's the mystery.
There's a globe. You can buy a globe of Mars down to latitude and longitude and all the features of Mars, and we don't know jack about the floor of the ocean. Well, no, we know a lot, but not nearly as much as extraterrestrial planets.
Well, occasionally they'll find fish that they've never ever seen before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It's fish that they thought were prehistoric forever, and then they found them.
Yep, the coelacanth outside the Madagascar and all that stuff. So there's a lot of mystery to it, but I think it's mainly that. And then I would watch it and watch it and watch it, and then my grandmother, pirated it, and I watched it and watched it and watched it. And so much to it, and I'll impart this one story because it's sort of funny. I love Quint, and I can do an okay Quint impression.
Do it.
And here lies the body of Ellie Mee, died at the age of 103. For 15 years, she kept her virginity. Not a bad record for this facility. Hope you brought your brothers, Chief. So I had memorized the Indianapolis speech because it's a great piece of writing. And I was listening.
The one with the military.
Yes.
Yeah.
They get,
I have something on that.
And then he bites you, and them eyes roll over white. Black eyes like a doll's eyes. So anyhow. So I called into
you know what I want to hear one day? I want to hear that into Donald Pleasance going, the blackest eyes, the devil.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
the devil's eyes.
But anyway, so there was this call-in radio show like on the weekends when they're looking to fill time. You know those things, right? Like regular like talk radio would have. They don't know what to do. So they had a syndicated movie program. And these guys would talk movies for like 3 hours. And Jay, it was usually before we would go DJ a wedding. So I was like waiting, it was a lot of fun, right? So I listened to the show. And eventually they were talking about something. I said, they were talking about Jaws, I think. And I called in. It was the first time national radio. I had actually, someone picked up the phone and I got to talk to somebody that would be broadcast syndicated, whoever was listening, you know. And, I said my piece about Jaws, and I said, by the way, I do a good Quint impression. And he actually had me stay over, like, oh, hang on through the break. So they hang on through the break, and then they bring me back after commercial. And I said I could do some of the Indianapolis speech. So I did some of the Indianapolis speech, and they put, like, the music from Jaws over me while I was doing it. And they said, oh, that's very great. Thanks. We're going to send you a family 4-pack of tickets for a Blockbuster rental. So that's how long ago this was. And I said, that's super. So I got on with the producer and I give him my address and they send me, it was supposed to be 4 rentals. I got 1, whatever. What am I going to do? Complain? So guess what I rented?
What?
Fantastic Four. Oh boy, how disappointing. My one opportunity to speak to the nation and give them my Quint impression, and I rented the worst friggin' movie. It was like a glorified version of a Power Rangers episode. It's the fucking worst. And I'm like, I can't believe I wasted. I think I fell asleep through it and then I returned it. I'm like, I can't believe it. So the one time I won something on a radio station, it was because of Jaws, but it basically meant nothing at the end because it was for a shitty movie. So anyhow, so that's my relationship with Jaws, and my wife and we're in a new thing. We're gonna watch the series of everything. So, for instance, we're in the middle of working our way through Pirates of the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. By the way, that third movie is booking bananas.
I bought the whole series for my daughter when she had surgery.
Oh, my God.
She had endometriosis and she had surgery, so she loves Johnny Depp, so I bought the whole series for her.
Yeah.
And we watched one, and it took us forever to watch it.
Oh, my God.
We were putting it in too late, and it was so long. We're like, let's just stop it and we'll watch it the next day. Yeah. And then the next day we're like, let's just stop it. We'll watch it. Yeah. So it took us forever to get through it, and we still haven't watched all the other ones yet.
At World's End is 2 hours and 49 friggin' minutes.
It takes forever. Yeah.
We're like, hey, let's watch this tonight. All right, it's 7:30. I'm like, I ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, that's how we were.
I can't do it. Yeah. So anyhow, the bottom line here is that I watched this today, and just to kind of refresh it a little bit, and we're like, no, we're gonna watch all 4 of them. As shitty as they are, we're gonna watch all 4. I know this, worse returns as you go through and how ridiculous they are, but let's get into Jaws and see.
Jawses?
No, we're going to watch all 4.
Okay.
I'll let you know how that turns out. But Revenge is terrible. The third one isn't even in Florida for some bizarre reason. Anyway, so let's get into it. Let's talk about Jaws. We'll try to get the encapsulated version of our feelings of this. And like I said, maybe there'll be extra episodes on this later on, but I am going to do the IMDb break of Jaws. I'll let you know who's in it, what it's all about. Comes out in 1975. It's rated PG, coming in at 2 hours and 4 minutes. The one-sentence synopsis is as follows. When a killer shark unleashes chaos on a beach community off Cape Cod, it is up to a local sheriff, a marine biologist, and an old seafarer to hunt the beast down. Directed by Steven Spielberg, written by Peter Benchley and Carl Gottlieb, and a series of others. If you listen to the several making of documentaries that have been made of this, we are starring Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Lorraine Gray, Murray Hamilton, Carl Gottlieb, Jeffrey Kramer, and so on. I don't think I missed any big ones there. And I would bring my computer in the other room, but just so you're aware, I have autographs of Robert Shaw, Roy Scheider, and Dreyfuss in my other room.
Really? How'd you get that?
I met Dreyfuss at a Comic-Con, so I had him sign one for my wife. It's actually a scene from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, because that's her favorite movie. But so I have a scene from him with when he has the monument in his living room. So I had him sign that, and then she got me one of Scheider, and I got one of Shaw she got me Shaw off of eBay. So they're all sitting in the same spot. It's pretty neat. So anyhow, so let's get into it. I would like to throw this out there, and I want people to tell me how this movie is not Moby Dick.
I've never read it.
Well, yeah, but you know what Moby Dick is about.
It's about a whale.
Mm-hmm. and
they're hunting the whale.
Yeah, and does someone have a vendetta against said whale?
What, Ishmael? Is that the guy's name?
Quint.
Ahab. Like Quint, right? And he eventually kind of
I'm proving I didn't read it.
No, that's fine. But the point of the fact is that this movie is basically, I mean, not exactly Moby Dick, but it's Moby Dick. In fact, Melanie, you have some info on this connection, right?
Yeah. So the cute little thing about this one is the first producer was actually fired. It was Dick Richards. No, not the producer, the director. Mm-hmm. He was supposed to direct it, but he was fired because every single time that he referred to the shark, he said whale. And the producers were like, forget it, you're fired. We're not doing another Moby Dick. This is Jaws. This is a shark. Yep. And if you don't know the difference between a whale and a shark, we can't work with somebody like you. So he was fired. Yep. And then Steven Spielberg, came in and started directing. But yeah, that's cute.
So Spielberg is, how old is he when he makes this? I forget. He's in his 20s.
I don't know. I will tell you as far as the just a couple of things, like as far as, because it kind of seems like a beginning thing to say. Spielberg actually thought this was going to be like the end of his entire career, because the budget went $12 million over, and it was 300%, which was nearly 4 times as much as the average production cost for a film in 1975. It took 159 days to film, and it was supposed to take 55 days because he had to deal with the damn shark breaking down all the time, because they were testing it in water, not salt water, so it just kept breaking it down. The weather, everything else. By the end of the production, the residents at Martha's Vineyard, where they were filming it, who was once very welcoming and very excited and curious, were completely fed up with the film and the crew on their island and wanted them to just leave. And I'll just tell you this real quick. It was supposed to come out in Christmas of 1974, but because it ran so far over schedule, it was released on June 20th, 1975, when typically that's when the worst movies were out, because people really didn't go to the movies that much. They were out doing outdoor activities. But all the beach-going people, because it was a shark, thought it was pretty cool. Let's go see Jaws. And it became the very first ever summer blockbuster, and that's where we get summer blockbuster kind of themed from. But it was the first film to gross the most ever. And the entire time, it produced the most money ever in a film at that time, and over $100 million in just rentals.
Wow!
So he was 27.
27? Okay.
27.
So
I'm gonna say, like, I like how
27. Spielberg. Okay.
I like how it, like Titanic, was rumored to be a bust. By all of the people that were in the studios, like, looking at the dailies and reading what's going on. Right. They were both movies were like, this movie's going to suck. And both were like record breakers. So I think that's kind of cool.
I wore red on purpose for blood for Jaws.
Oh, boy.
She's dedicated, man.
Wow.
Right. I got to wear red because I'm, for Jaws and all the blood, and from all the bloody scenes that there were, and from him getting blown up at the end, I got blood red on.
I cut my foot off.
Spoiler alert. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Shark guys. Yeah. It's all a spoiler alert. We get
so where were you going, Chris?
So I was saying is, like, can you imagine, now think about what you were doing at 27. And here comes Steven Spielberg, who is basically like, the rumors are he broke onto the Universal lot and found an empty office where he would just hang out and pretend to make movies. Like, that's how he got involved. Yeah, he broke in and he found an office, just hung around until they realized he wasn't supposed to be there, and then kicked him out. But at that point, it was too late. Yeah, he'd already made relationships. Before this, he had made a TV movie called Duel, which is about a large truck that chases a small car, who's the driver of said truck we never see. So it's kind of this animalistic, mechanical thing chasing somebody else, and that's why they thought he might work for Jaws. And Steven said, I also, because I was so young, I'm like, hey, Duel has 4 letters, and Jaws has 4 letters, so it must be karma. Like, no, it's not. So I just want you to think about, and again, we're all, we know our ages. I'm not going to say them out loud, right? So
I want to break into the studio and pretend I was a producer and start my career that way.
Right,
Let's
exactly. It's ballsy. But think about what you were doing at 27 and how little you knew, really. And here's Steven with his $3 million turns into a $12 million budget, dealing with the likes of Robert Shaw, who's a maniac and a raging alcoholic. You got you have Dreyfus, who is not the easiest person to work with ever. Scheider was in All That Jazz before this. I mean, so he's got like this cavalcade of stars, and the idea of a director is you have to wrangle all these people and then make it all make sense, and then your shark keeps breaking down. Now we have to talk about the shark, whose name is
Bruce.
Bruce. Name's Bruce.
From Finding a Yes, and since you said it that way, because you're doing it because that's Finding Nemo, which was dedicated after Jaws.
And why is it Bruce?
Because it was Spielberg's lawyer's name.
Yeah.
So he named the shark after his lawyer. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So he named the Bruce. So it's nuts. Like, think about this. Like, you're in charge of this movie. You're 27 years old. You've got a cast of characters in front of you, and you're basically trapped on an island for way longer than you expected. And you're dealing with a shark who everyone says you should never shoot a movie on the ocean. And Steven's like, nah, we'll do it. And he does it. They have to build two mechanical sharks, one for the shark going to the left, one for the shark going to the right, just because one side of the shark is completely cut out and it's all mechanical. And you have to do all of that.
Actually.
Oh, they're four?
I
was wrong.
4 of them, yeah.
Okay, all right. Anyway, they all break down. And because they all break down, we're going to go, like I said, the assumption here is everybody's seen Jaws. And even if you haven't, you know about it. And if you haven't seen Jaws, stop what you're doing right now.
Go watch it.
Go watch Jaws, because you're missing out. The fact of the matter is, because the shark doesn't work, we get this, by accident, suspenseful device of the floating barrels. And the fact that we never see the shark. And that's kind of genius. And that idea of never seeing the shark, except for we see the fin a couple of times. We see him come out of the water when he eats the Kintner kid.
But you barely see him. It's more like just like shadowy.
Yeah, it's just shadowy. We see the side of him as he goes to eat the lifeguard guy when he's in the bay. You know what I mean, during the 4th of July. And then we don't see him until come down here and chomp some of this shit. So the fact of the matter is, it's a mystery. We never see the thing. And that's been copied so many times since then. I don't know that it was done before that. But, Predator is all about it. In fact, I just watched the new Predator movie, Prey. Anybody
what
on
is that?
The new Predator movie's on Hulu only.
But what year?
And it's called this year. Like, it came out Friday.
Really?
22.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my husband would love that.
It's called Prey, and it's basically Predator, but he comes to Native America from 300 years ago and encounters Native Americans.
Oh.
And
Is it weird?
No, it's good. It's good. Now, it would have bombed if it was in the movies because there's not much to it, but it is a feature. It's an hour and 37 minutes. It's pretty cool to watch, but it's the whole idea of we don't see the villain. And we don't need to spend all the money on it. And it's always suspenseful because we can't see the villain. We don't know where it is. But
it
with
makes
the barrels,
it more scary.
Yes,
It
absolutely,
really makes it more
1,000%.
scary, 100%. Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, the movie turns into, and there's nothing wrong with these movies, the movie turns into Deep Blue Sea. Again, I liked Deep Blue Sea, but you see the shark all the time. It turns into the Meg, which is I love the Meg. It's stupid as shit, but I love the Meg. Right? It's dumb, but I like it.
I was disappointed with that because the freaking beginning of it shows this massive shark with like somebody floating in the mouth of this shark, and they never show that scene. Me and my mom kept being like, "Where is that scene?" It never happened. It was just a picture that they took for like the beginning of the movie, but it was never in the movie.
Okay,
I did that often, and it pisses me off. Yeah, like I've seen.
I was like, we kept waiting for that part, but it never happened. It was just a picture.
But, I mean, those are all scary and they're fun, but it's different when you can't see the shark, right?
Yeah, it's way better.
So we have, there's so much.
Especially when Jason Statham fights the shark with karate.
Can I?
I'm kidding.
So, no, I'm really glad you brought that up because I was watching this again today. And again, I'm trying to pull stuff from it that I hadn't thought of before. And I don't want to make stuff up just, to make a point on a podcast. But this movie, so we're going to get down, like I said, this movie, you could talk about this movie for 6 episodes.
You really could.
Absolutely. One of the main things about the movie is it's man against nature, right? And that nature is will end you. All it's got to do is decide, right? Because nature is bigger than any of us, all of us put together. In the 70s, there was a run of disaster movies. Airport, Earthquake, Towering Inferno, all those movies. Now, Jaws is at the tail end of that. And it's just basically like, if nature decides, it's time that we had a revival of that. Ooh, there's a giant gross spider. Speaking of nature. I'm sorry. Okay, so
we had a major revival right now in the studio.
It's a giant spider.
I don't do spiders.
No, but we had Deep Impact, Volcano, La Brea, Twister. Like nature will end you if it needs to, right? Yeah. So by the end of the movie, when the three guys, Quint the pirate, Hooper the scientist, and we have Brody the cop, and it's the end of the movie, and we have the smile you son of a bitch moment. Really, it's man against nature, but the only reason Brody beats the shark is really luck. Like, he didn't get one up on nature. Like, because you can't win against nature. If anything, and agree with me or disagree with me, I'll wait. If anything, Brody takes advantage of the shark's instincts to kill and its instincts to eat anything, to jam a scuba tank in its mouth, so he knows he's going to come at him to make the shark blow up, which scuba tanks don't do, but whatever.
Okay,
and to me, it shows... Go ahead.
I know, you're going to go, okay, hold on, remember what you're saying. Yep. They did set this up throughout the movie, because if you notice the book that he was looking at, they showed a picture of a shark with an oxygen tank in his mouth. Yep. And then later on, when they got on the ship, Quint is I'm horrible, right? Okay, what the heck is the guy's name that was Richard Dreyfuss? What's his name? Okay, Hooper. Okay, so it was Quint. Quint was like, because I think Hooper had somehow rolled the oxygen tanks down, and he was like, "You're gonna blow the ship up," or I don't know, some sort of scene like that. Yep. So they were kind of setting it up so you could kind of see that, that this might work. You know what I mean? Yep. They're kind of putting it in your head a little bit. That's all I wanted to say. That they kind of put a little bit of thing in your head about that.
Absolutely. The thing is that oxygen tanks, again, I'm just gonna oxygen tanks don't blow up like that. If anything, they turn into little torpedoes. But they're not going to blow up like explosives. But whatever, because even Spielberg said, because eventually, let me get to my other point. I'm talking about exploding.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. is that he beats the shark kind of out of luck. Any other day, Brody's dead. He just got lucky, like Indiana Jones. He just got lucky, and it all worked out, right? Otherwise, Hooper would still be swimming around the bottom of the ocean and eventually get eaten. So we didn't get one up on nature. He just got lucky. My thing about Deep Blue Sea and other shark movies like The Meg is at the end of the movie, and particularly Jason Statham in The Meg, he actually physically beats up a giant shark, stabs it in the eye. You know what I mean? Like, he actually...
when I said it because it had been a while since I've seen it, so...
No, he actually gets out of his little submarine and stabs the Meg in the eye, and then rips the stomach open with the submersible. And it's like, haha, nature, man's better. Or like at Deep Blue Sea, I don't remember. How did Deep Blue Sea end? How did they get away? Oh, they electrified it. What was the deal? We did that movie. I forgot. Jay, what's going on with Deep Blue Sea?
I think they had a bunch of dynamite.
Right. So that shark is genetically smarter than everything, but we get up on it. And in this movie, in Jaws, what we see is that you can't get one up on nature. You guys got lucky, because if you didn't get lucky, this thing was going to keep terrorizing your island, maybe wipe out the population. We don't know. Probably not, but that's the way that it went, right? So I just thought that was interesting, because that's the tack that it takes. It doesn't say man's better. It just kind of was able to solve this one problem. But there are other problems out there we don't know. Hence Jaws 2, I guess. I don't even remember. So anyway, I don't know. So anyway, so let's get into it a little bit more.
We're let's get into it, and we're 30 minutes into it already.
Yeah, I know. Well, we've been into it.
I did. I called Chris right before this film, and I was like, God, you're freaking right. Because, when he was saying, oh my God, it would take 4 episodes to get through this this movie, and I was like, no, maybe 2. Right. No way. There's the documentary alone is 2 hours at least, and there's Plus you've got the movie, plus you've got like 10,000 things that you could read. You have a bunch of books about it. Mm-hmm. There's just, you would never believe how much there is to talk about this movie. It's literally insane.
Mm-hmm. Now,
so go ahead, Chris. Get into it.
No, I was going to say, let's do, well, I mean, listen, if you don't know it by now, the basic, a girl gets attacked by a shark, gets killed, and Chief Brody finds her along with a couple other people. Mm-hmm. And
she was skinny dipping in the beginning.
Right. And getting waterboarded by Steven Spielberg himself. Yep.
Yes. And I do have something about that. Let me tell you something about that. So she was,
see, this is why it's taking so long. I'm just joking.
She was getting, like, you can kind of see her. She's like, oh, let's go. She meets this guy at a fire pit, and she's like, oh, let's go. I want to go skinny dipping. So he thinks he's going to get lucky. So she, she runs into the ocean, but, he falls asleep because he's been drinking
I'm
too
not
much.
drunk.
Yeah, right. So yeah,
you
gotta definitely be drunk if there's a girl that you want to get with and she's naked and she's running into the ocean and you just decide to fall asleep on the sand instead of following the naked girl into the water, but whatever. So she goes into the ocean.
His tone, he goes, I can swim, I just can't stand. Or whatever.
Or undress myself.
He just falls asleep and she goes into the water and she's having a good old time and then she feels something kind of hit the bottom of her leg and she's like, what's going on? And next thing you know, he's got her leg and she's being kind of dragged back and forth, back and forth. That actress said that was the worst thing that had ever happened to her in her entire life. She said because the way she had to scream, she was so afraid that if she was screaming because she was seriously getting hurt or drowned, they would not know the difference because she just kept getting pulled under and pulled under. And she was just, like you said, being waterboarded, and she was inhaling so much water. And then to create the sound of a drowning woman, they basically, just for the sound of it alone, besides what she went through in the damn water, which was, just really tugging her under the water the entire time, which was horrifying. They turned her head upside down and put a microphone in front of it. And then they were pouring water down her throat.
Right.
To get the sound of a drowning
That's why
woman.
I said waterboarded.
I could never do that. I could never do that.
No, I just, okay. I couldn't, you're off camera, like we couldn't see you at all. Like just
no, cool.
Case,
that's cool.
Yeah, but the lady, what she went through was she was in the water. And then that was one thing. She said she was so afraid that she was going to drown for real. And that she was going to be screaming for help, and they would just think that she was acting. But then, because she just kept getting dragged under and inhaling water the entire time. But they wanted to, another whole separate part that this woman had to go through, which I just found out, is they were like, just turn your head upside down like this. And they were putting a microphone in front of her face and just kept pouring water down her throat. So they could catch the sound of in front of a microphone of what it would sound like if somebody was drowning. I would never have been able to do that. I don't know how she did that.
I would say that's probably in some violation of union rules these days. I don't think you can actually do that to an actor anymore. And justifiably, that's a pretty good idea. Let's talk about Chrissy. They have her, that iconic shot of her skinny dipping, and then the camera's underneath her and she's waiting in the water. A, how many times has that been reproduced? And B, how terrifying is that shot? From what we talked about before, you don't know what's in the depths. It could be Flipper.
So vulnerable.
It's probably not. Yeah, and that's why it's exploitation. But how more vulnerable can you be? I don't even have any clothes on, and I'm floating in the middle of. Again, you got to remember our land. Like, we live on land. Like, the sea is outer space. We can't live in the sea.
Man. That's their house.
Yeah, you're going into their house, and all the shark is doing, again, at least for the first half of the movie, the shark's just doing its shark thing, man. Like, that's what they do. Like, they find food and eat food. Like, Dreyfus isn't wrong. They just swim and eat and make little sharks. But that's true of all of nature. It's food, sex, and shelter. That's it. Nothing else. And it's not personal.
Jump on what you're saying.
Go ahead.
The shark is not the villain in this movie. The mayor is.
Absolutely.
Oh, he's horrible. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Doesn't anybody learn from the mayor from Jaws and other movies where you got to shut the damn beach down? It's like there's so many other instances in movies where there's somebody like him.
Well, in fact, I know this is not the most popular film on the planet. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. The female Ghostbusters reboot.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah, I just everybody turns it into like it's like they hated it before they saw it.
I liked it.
So what I'm saying is, she actually brings up when she talks to Andy Garcia, who's the mayor. She goes, "Please don't be the Jaws mayor." And he goes, "Don't ever call me that in public."
That's
like,
funny.
don't mention that.
I think what if you look at the bureaucracy, like he's using the bureaucracy. Let's think about what he's doing, right? Let's think about what Larry's doing. He's trying to be mayor. He's trying to ensure the financial health of his community, and he does not understand
over the physical well-being. Yep.
Right, but he doesn't understand the threat and refuses to accept the data. Right? Mm-hmm. He just said that's not true. You know, what does he say? That'd be nice. You probably get your name in the National Geographic, right?
Yeah.
So even though the science is staring him in the face, he doesn't believe it. Right. Mm-hmm. So we have the initial gut reaction of Brody is when he's typing at the typewriter, shark attack. And then from the medical examiner. And then the medical examiner says, well, no, it's a boating accident. Definitely a boating accident. He's like, that's not what you told me. I was wrong. What? So here we see he's not just a bureaucrat. The mayor has gotten to the medical examiner saying, just say this. Just say this. Mm-hmm. Just like the mayor told the people on the beach, just go in the water. It'll be fine. Just go in the water. It'll be cool. Right? Nobody would. My wife and I were talking about that. I'm like, if you knew there was a shark, even if they caught it, and you're a parent at the beach, would you let your kids swim?
Hell no.
Like in more than a foot of water.
Yeah, in the book they said there was actually mafia ties to that because it was a money-making thing for tourism, and they actually killed. I guess Brody had a cat in the book or something, and the mafia people killed the cat.
Oh, no.
To kind of make a point, like, no, this beach is staying open. This is how we make our money. You know what I mean? Like, they shut up and go away. This whole thing has to be swept under the carpet. Actually, with a couple of serial killers that I've seen in when I'm watching some things in my life, where people have done the same thing in the police. Like, they'll capture the first person because it's, you know, in some cases that I've watched, because with the Son of Sam. First person, they didn't look into it any further when there was other people involved in that, because everybody felt comfortable. Everybody was happy. That was the point. Just make it go away, sweep it under the carpet. This is solved and this is good. You can sleep at night now. They just wanted it to go away. And that's what they were doing in Jaws. They wanted it to go away. This is the shark. We caught him. This is it. You guys are safe. You can go in the water. They weren't willing to look into it any further because they just wanted to make their money. Right. And then with the police department, they just wanted everybody to feel safe and happy. And, you know, it just reminded me of it for some way. It's not the same thing, but.
No, it's related. Sure, it's
related.
No,
but how, when he agree, he seems to be on board with shutting the beach down.
Yeah.
And he sees the reaction of everybody. He goes, only for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he throws that in there. It's like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop talking.
Like, and Brody's like, I didn't say that. Like, and Brody has a point. He's like, I'm responsible for public safety, not you. Like, that's my job. Go ahead.
First off, there's a couple of things I got to ask about this scene.
Okay.
First off, for the most part, casting was great. Even the mayor. Yeah. Mayor's phenomenal. Like, you've got the perfect person to play that role.
Oh, yeah.
Could you have picked younger parents for Alex Kittner for one?
Sure, she looks like a grandma.
And the guy behind her, is that the husband?
Yep.
No.
Okay.
There's a reason for that. I asked my mother because she had we have a sick friend in the hospital. I was actually reading Jaws to him while he was in a kind of a vegetative state. So he was on a ventilator and I was reading him Jaws.
Wow.
Yeah, this just happened. I was reading him Jaws. And so basically the reason why they're so old was described in the book. It was because these people had a very hard time conceiving. They had tried to have kids for a very, very long time. And that's why they're so old. And so when they finally had that kid, that was their life, their one and only. They worked so hard to get that kid, and then he drowned in the goddamn ocean. Not drowned, he got eaten in the ocean because, they knew there was a death, and they didn't keep people out of the water, and they lost their son that they worked so hard to get.
Okay, but here's the wonderful part about that not being necessary is it is not explained to the viewing audience that they tried so hard for years, and all that stuff. So that's great in a book, but you don't have to follow the rules of the book. You know, just like Steven said, I don't care. This is my payoff. I don't care if scuba tanks don't explode like that. We don't know the story of Alex and his parents. Make them younger, and nobody will question it who hasn't read the book. Yeah. And she's not even that important of a character that we go, oh, way too young.
But no,
we need to make them younger.
Really old. I did notice why she's so old and the kid is so young.
And the other part that I said I have to talk about is, I get frustrated every time that she slaps Chief and not the mayor. Because it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the mayor. He tried.
He's in charge of safety.
I understand, but he's being overruled.
But she doesn't know that. She doesn't know
I know, it just sucks to watch the wrong guy get blamed.
I hate that part. I hate it.
Also because...
As an actor's note of that, that actress refused to do a fake slap on Brody. I forgot what her name was. And she slapped him like 17 freaking times as hard as she could. So hard that she slapped his glasses right off of his face. He said that was like the most painful part of his entire acting career. Because she just slapped the crap out of him.
But let's look at it this way, like, and if you look at that scene, oh boy, again, you could do this for like ever.
I know you could. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Like, Brody quit the New York Police Department because he felt like he wasn't making a difference, and probably because it's very stressful. He's like, I'm just going to go to Massachusetts. I'm going to get this position. It's going to be really easy, and I can care about individuals rather than just a bunch of like faces. And all he wants to do is, like, and he says in his drunken stupor on Hooper's boat, like, in Amity, one man can make a difference. And he just wanted to make a difference, and he wasn't allowed to make a difference, which makes that slap even worse. Also, I saw this movie again when it was re-released in the 40th anniversary. I don't even know. So I went to go see it on the big screen. And in that scene, it's a two shot, meaning it's over, if I'm saying that right, I'm sorry, film people, but it's over Brody's shoulder looking at her. So his shoulder and his face are out of focus, and she's in focus. So that's, the audience is directed to look at her through the eyes of Brody. So when she slaps him, she's slapping the audience, kind of, which is really neat because you get to feel what he's feeling at that moment. She's telling us, you, the audience, not really, but you let my son go back in the water. And then you know, like, the gravity of the situation, the guilt that he feels for allowing that to happen, basically allowed it. Even though his hands were tied, he says, I am responsible for public safety on this island. That's his job. He was not allowed to do it, and it's still his fault. And maybe in his head he's going, maybe if I tried a little harder, maybe if I was more of an asshole to Larry, maybe if I wasn't just hired, I could be pushier. But he's only been there 6 months. So what's he going to do? Right? I just thought of that, right? You're not gonna rock the boat after 6 months, even though the right thing to do would be to rock the boat. Because why? Because the character, I'm like all the other characters, they're all flawed because they're actual people making wrong decisions.
Well, and not just wrong, but like here's another example of wrong. So the mayor won't let them cut up the shark when they catch the tiger shark. Everybody and their brother.
I don't want that little Kittner boy spilling all over the dog.
Yeah. Right. I'm not going to sign up for some half-ass autopsy on the fish. That Kittner boy spills all over the dock. Yeah. Did anybody say you had to cut the fish open right there and then?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, cut them open downtown. Take it downtown. No, instead they got to sneak in and go do it themselves to find the license plate and
You're right.
Whatever.
That's so weird. I never even thought of that.
But
why?
But what if his motivation is it's not? It turns out to not be the shark.
Right. He doesn't want. He wants it to be the shark.
Right.
Deep down, he wants. I know. It just pisses you off though. So it's like, and then
he doesn't want to know the truth.
As humans, yes, there's a deep down sadness when we hear him say, "My kids were on that beach too." You can see there's some pain there. But deep down, you're also going, fuck you. Yeah. You fucking deserve it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, dude, it's not like you didn't get multiple chances to stop being stupid.
Well, but also he understands the error of his ways. You know, even though it is shallow, like his kid didn't get eaten. He said, my kids are on that beach too. He doesn't say, oh, it's too bad that lifeguard got eaten. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the first thing he says. So now he has no one's trust. And he'll sign any document and any charter to any drunken pirate to go hunt down the fish. Because at least he's doing something now, right? He's signing the stuff to do the stuff he was against before. He's not absolved of anything because he's lost the public trust. He's doomed. He might as well in other movies, like in The Dead Zone, you know, when I don't know, anybody see The Dead Zone?
Yeah.
No.
All right. So The Dead Zone, when
I read the book. If that makes you feel any better.
It's a good book. When Martin Sheen realizes he's not going to be president and blows his head off, like you can imagine Mayor Larry eventually, like, because he lost the public trust and not getting reelected, what else is he going to do? What other skills does he have? You could imagine him, like, jumping off a boat with a heavy anchor on his foot, like, because he's got nothing. Now he's got nothing, right? He was Larry. Now he's not. And that's all he's got is being mayor of Amity. I got to say something about the charter. Not even that. Couple of things that bug me about the movie. First of all, they don't bug me. It's just things. What accent are we going with? Are we going with Massachusetts or are we going with Long Island? I'm not sure what, because I heard both. That's the first thing. Second
a lot
of all,
of people like they travel back and forth, or they live like he lived in New York and he went to Massachusetts, so you're going to hear a little bit of mixture of both.
I know, but the Karen lady with the black hair, I don't think that's funny at all. I don't think that's funny. She's an Islander because the lady who says, Lorraine, you're not born here, you're not going to be an Islander. That's the end of the story.
Yeah.
So she's an Islander, but she's got a Long Island accent, but everybody else is from Massachusetts. That's fine. Again, I'm being nitpicky.
No, you're right.
That's the first thing. Second of all, when they're in the town, and it says, y'all don't have one thing on here I ordered. You don't got a beach umbrella. You don't got a barker line. We're from the South suddenly? I thought we were in you ain't got one thing on here I ordered. You got no propane.
Yeah,
you got
where
no
does that come
propane products.
How about this?
So
how about
it's
a tiger shark. A what?
What?
God.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, this might open the door to Quentin. Man, I don't know how much time we have left. But
Not enough.
those guys on that boat, they must have been from there because, boy, they don't make any sense. Because when they're going out and they're trying to find the tiger shark, he goes, when those boys end up on their rocks over there, they're going to wish their fathers had never met their mothers. When the bottom of them boats start breaking up on them rocks, what are you doing, you damn fool? It's everybody's grandpa is out on that boat. God damn it, what are you doing, you fool? You close the goddamn door. What do you think, you live in a barn?
Because everyone's boat is way too small. Everyone's boat.
Tiny little boat, they're going to go catch a big great white. Okay.
So allegedly Quint, who's my hands down favorite character because he's a pirate. He's from, again, Melanie, I don't know what research you did on this, but I asked, my wife and I looked it up because the question came up. Where's Quint from? Is he an Islander? Is he from Massachusetts?
I didn't look that up. No. I didn't get that
accent,
far. There was too much.
Where in America?
I think what they were trying to go with, they were trying to just be a stereotypical fisherman type, like that. You know what I mean? Like if you were going to try to paint a picture of besides the yellow raincoat.
The Gordon's
fisherman. No, but not like that necessarily. But if you were going to have a fisherman sound a certain way in like North America, like in the Northeast at that, I would say that's probably how you would picture it.
I know, but I guess what I agree with you, and I'm not bagging on it. It's weird because he doesn't have all the other fishermen's accents.
Yeah,
it's like, Mr. Hoover, let me see your.
It was a Gordon Fisherman song in my head. Yeah. I can't stop singing that commercial.
Little brownie goes in the hole.
Comes out of the hole.
Not too easy. By the way, drinking Narragansett beer.
Yep.
Oh my God! My grandfather drank that.
Yeah, mine too.
There's a poster at a liquor store back when I lived in Connecticut. It's actually in Johnston, Rhode Island, and they had a big poster of Quint with the Narragansett can, and he's crushing it. And that's from the Narragansett Beer Company. And the ad was "Crush It Like Quint." And I so wanted that poster.
That's so cute.
So wanted that poster. Oh my God!
Let's also talk about.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut.
It's
hard sometimes with the damn delay. Let's talk about that moment, because I think a good Steven Spielberg thing is to bring in like a really good laugh, and that is Richard Dreyfuss or Hooper crushing the cup immediately right after.
Oh yeah, that was so cute, the little plastic cup.
Yeah, it's so good.
I'll say even better, and I thought of today when I watched it, was the first time that we have that dramatic moment where they think they have the shark, and it's probably not, because he's still using a fishing pole. You imagine that? So that wasn't a shark, by the way, when he had it on a fishing pole. And Quint's like, just let it go. It's like a stingray or it's a marlin or something. And then they do it and the line breaks. And he goes, what? Stingray? Marlin? Cut through that piano wire? Teach you a lesson. Don't ever tell me my business again. And he goes, that doesn't prove a damn thing, Quint. He goes, it proves one thing. You rich city folk can't admit when you're wrong. And now at that point, we're having a power struggle as to who should be in charge of the boat, because Brody shouldn't be in charge of the boat, right? And that's a pretty tense moment, because Hooper thinks he's smartest and Quint thinks he's smartest, and they're both smartest. The smartest in different ways. But immediately after that, what do we get? And he makes like the faces at him, and he says, "Arr, she blows, arr. I'm not going to be able to take this abuse much longer." So you had he could have cut away from that and let it sit.
That's very W.C. Fields, I think. And that was a really good impression.
Right.
So, I'm not going to take this much longer.
Right? So it's interesting to me that he breaks it up with that comedy, or even the improvised line, "We're going to need a bigger boat." Like, that's improvised, but like the fact that that's a funny line, but terrifying, but funny. You know what I mean? Quit playing with yourself, Mr.
I was
Hooper.
going to say something about that. So that line that you had said, that we're going to need a bigger boat, I just have to say this, because if I don't, I'd be disappointed in myself. My grandfather was just a huge person in my entire life, which has passed away now. But one of the stories that I always remember my mom saying is she went to go see Jaws with my grandfather. And when he said that, my grandfather started laughing so hard in the movie theater. And he had this Santa Claus kind of a laugh, And once he started laughing, she said the entire theater started laughing because of how much he was laughing.
Oh, that's cool.
At that one line, and I just thought that's so cute. And every time I hear anybody say that, I just think of him, and I just thought I just had to say it. If I didn't, I'd be disappointed in myself.
No, that's great.
That's why the theater is important, because you get to have moments like that, and it can influence other people.
I also like when they do that thing where it's sunset, and he goes, "Oh, but we can radio in and go on a bigger boat," and they just fade away, they fade him out, but it's just he's reiterating, really, he's not wrong. That boat is small compared to that
it's way
shark.
too small.
Right. And it's like, now I want you. Oh, before we get into the whole confrontation with Quint and the shark and everybody, let's back up a little, and let's highlight 70s parenting culture.
Oh my God, yeah, we were talking about that.
Yep.
Okay. How about is the little kid named Sean? The little one.
It's Matthew. Is it Matthew?
Oh, what was she yelling? What was she whispering? Oh, God.
Is it Matthew?
Remember?
When she's telling me to get out of the water?
Remember she's waving at him, and the kid is Michael's going into the pond.
Yeah.
Like Michael.
And she's like,
Michael.
Michael.
No, the little one, the little guy.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember. Yeah.
Regardless. Okay, you've got him, but yet he's chasing after Michael, and you're not even looking. And then when Michael's in the pond, he's sitting building a sandcastle right next to the pond, and you're not near him. And this kid is, what do you think, 5? Maybe?
That's what I said, 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Not even that, right?
Yeah. And he's just
you're not even watching this little guy.
Yep.
Not even that. How about the part where, this is one of my favorite parts of the movie, where they got the older kid sitting on a dock in the freaking ocean, and the little tiny kid is sitting in this boat in the ocean by himself. These people are not even freaking outside, okay, with the kid. It's bad enough that they're by themselves, but they're not even outside. They're inside of their house. And he's like, "Get out of the boat. Get out of the water." And she's like, "He's not in the water. He's in the birthday present that you bought him." And then she starts looking through all these pages, and she's looking at shark attacks and all this stuff. And then she's like, do what your father says. Get out of the ocean. Get out of the boat. Whatever.
Yeah. I love his face.
I love that part. But yeah, hello. These kids are little tiny kids. He's maybe 5 years old the most. They don't have any life preservers on. They're in the ocean by themselves.
It's one of those things that's like, how did they survive?
No parents. They're in the house. That's like insane to me.
I always I noticed today when he says, I got Dad at the beginning. Dad, I got hurt. I got bit by a vampire. And he goes, you're just playing those swings again. I told you not to play those swings until I fixed them. And then Dad leaves, and what's the first thing you see? Mom and the little kid on the swings.
Oh, but not just she was waving to him from the swing.
From the swings.
Like it wasn't after he left. Swinging, like, they're waving goodbye.
Yep.
It's like
there is no parenting. Go play by the pond. Go in the ocean. Go
let's
wherever.
Top it off. Let's top it off. That scene when she's when he's on the dock and in the boat and they're in the house talking. She's like, "What? You want to get drunk and fool around?"
And while they're in the boat.
Never mind the fact that the kids are like right next to the boat. Hey, they won't drown.
That'll be fine.
They're not going to drown.
They float. Kids float. It's fine. Kids float. It's cool.
Yeah, after they die.
That was insane. The kids are in the water by themselves, outside.
Yep.
The parents are inside. They're going to go have sex. You know that shark on the dock there?
Yeah.
That they were like, we don't want the little kitten or boy, opening up all over the dock, whatever. That was a real shark that they killed.
Mm-hmm.
They would never be able to get away with anything like that nowadays.
No.
I can't believe that they actually killed the shark. And the ones in Martha's Vineyard weren't big enough, so they killed one in Florida that was bigger, and then they shipped it to Martha's Vineyard. And I guess by the time it got there, it was already decomposing, and I don't want to go into the gory details of how bad it was. But apparently everybody that had to work with it said it was the most appalling thing that they had to deal with because it was so stinky. Okay, and then the other thing that I just wanted to say was I'm sure everybody knows that the inspiration for the entire book and movie was from the 1916 Jersey shark attacks. Mm-hmm. I'm sure people know that.
Yeah.
And that the actual writer of the book regretted allowing the book to be turned into a film because after the movie, there were so many killings of sharks from humans because he felt like he kind of demonized sharks, and he felt so bad about it that he became like an ocean activist later on in his life, pretty much sticking up for sharks, but he felt really bad about that. And then the military story that they told, Quint was telling.
Yep.
I remember watching the documentary on that, and this guy that was in the military went to go see Jaws, and when Quint started telling that story, he just kind of paused and he was like, oh my God, that was my life. Like, he was literally watching Jaws in the movie theater while Quint was telling his story. That was actually his story that he really lived in the military, with his whole crew being eaten by sharks, and they had put that in Jaws, and he was like totally overwhelmed by it. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing to say. And then the other thing was, my daughter looked this up, and she just looked it up. There's this girl called Lady of the Dunes that was found in Cape Cod. She was an unidentified woman that died, and they never identified her. But when she died right around the same time that Jaws had been made. And when you look at the movie Jaws and you're looking at all the extras in the back, she was found in Cape Cod, which was not too far away from Martha's Vineyard. But right around the same time that they found her, there is a girl, and if you go to the internet, you can see this girl paused, and it looks identical to the lady's body, and she's wearing the exact same thing.
Wow.
The exact same clothes that the person was found in, this blue bandana, the jeans, everything that the girl was wearing looks identical to the person that was an extra in Jaws. So she's never been identified, but they think it's her.
Cool. Wow, I hadn't heard that. That's a new one on me. Thank you.
Go ahead, Chris. I know
new Jaws stuff. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, again, million things to say, nothing to say. Getting into, we're now full on Quint. We're going to head out into the ocean. We're going on to, it's one of the classics. We're going to bring the fight to them. So, we're going to wait and get picked off. We're going to bring the fight to the shark. So, they get on the boat. Yeah, right. So they get on the boat, and now we have the captain, we have the pirate king, we have the scientist, and we have Brody, who doesn't fit in anywhere. And again, the dynamic of those three is you can't say enough about it, because it's a power struggle between Hooper and Quint. Brody's just along for the ride. He doesn't like water, can't swim, and can't tie a knot. At first, he's got that little dinky life preserver on. He doesn't like he chums but doesn't complain. And then after a while, the life vest comes off, the cigarette goes on. He stops putting Old Spice on his nose, and he says, "Come down here and chum some of this shit." He's just getting used to it, but he still doesn't have his sea legs at all. And what we have is the power struggle exists between those three until you see the shark. And then they see the shark, that's to 20-foot or 25, 3 tons of them, and then suddenly they understand their common threat. And any divisiveness that Brody and that Quentin Hooper has goes away. And in fact, the only infighting that comes up is when Quint smashes the radio, because he doesn't want any help, right? Because this is him.
And I'm so mad when he did that.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
And even then, Hooper doesn't call Quint a maniac when he does that. That's only Brody, because Hooper understands that we have to stay together if we're going to try to get this thing, because he knows that they're doomed. I mean, there's no way.
No, but
so
again,
we have this.
Expound on the whole idea on the because he also starts the fire, to deter Brody from calling for help. Now, is it?
No, he says put out the fire, Chief. The fire.
he started it.
Did he start it? I thought that was just the engine.
Watch his face. Watch his face when he does it. He goes, "But there's a fire, Chief."
No.
Meaning, because. Brody was just about to grab the radio.
Yeah.
And conveniently there was a fire. Like he just knocks over something on the ground that he knows is going to get lit. And watch his face. Meaning like he sets it up because that distracts him from grabbing the mic and saying "Mayday, Mayday." And then fine, you're going to go and yell, "Mayday, Mayday." I'm going to take a bat and ruin it. Now you definitely can't call it. I don't have to light a fire again.
I think, okay, now hold on. I'm not sure I agree. I think the fire was there because of the engine. And while he's about to make a phone call, he does say, "Hey, Chief, put out the fire." I think he's saying that nonchalantly, like, it's not a big deal. I've dealt with this before. But he is also distracting the chief from actually calling for help. I think he is distracting him. I don't think he started the fire.
I didn't get that he started the fire either.
Yeah, I think he's distracting him.
Next
but he's
week
also,
on the film crickets.
No, it's fine.
We're never going to get there.
Totally screwed up.
but I think what we have here is, again, we have Quint, who is acting as captain. He's saying, go starboard, full throttle, go to the chum locker, get this bucket, go do that. He's being like Kirk. It's like, quick, what you love it.
Pride only?
No, that's just the way it's done on a boat.
No, I meant why won't he?
It's pride.
Like, it's pride,
Yeah,
right?
it's totally pride. Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah.
Look, it's Lieutenant Dan. It's Lieutenant Dan on the top of the Jenny screaming at God. He's like, it's me, and it's the shark, and it's nobody else. I don't want anybody to help me. I've got something against this thing. And we're going to hash it out right now.
Because of the
whoever wins, and now we can be at peace. Well, the shark wins, at least for Quint. The shark eventually doesn't win. But that's the deal. Also, guys, have we noticed there's no Coast Guard boats supporting this vessel anywhere?
Oh, right.
No Coast Guard. Coast Guard's got big guns and lots of help. No Coast Guard. Why isn't anybody called the Coast Guard? I just realized that today. Like, there should be at least a couple just in the water, just helping out. But no, none of that. We won't have that. Again, that's not the point.
He help. That's why he got get rid of the radio.
Right. Like, at that point, you shouldn't have to hire somebody. The Coast Guard should be coming in. But again, it's Moby Dick. And that wouldn't work. It's not about that. It's about man and nature and who's going to win. So, and I still maintain that nature wins. Man just lucks out. But anyhow, so But again, we have a badass shark that can actually put on 3 barrels. He's shocked. You know what I mean? And he actually comes to terms. You can see Quint getting more and more nervous as all of his experiences with big fish kind of fall to the wayside. Not when one barrel will bring him up. Oh no, he can't go down with 2 barrels. Not with 2 on him he can. Okay, we'll do 3. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, I'm going to shoot it in the face. Okay, that didn't work either. So he's slowly running out of ideas, and his ship's sinking. And that's when he finally says, like, so Hooper, what do you got? Because eventually he has to give it to Hooper. He's like, I'm out.
And I like, on that note, I like how he basically, like, he's saying, you really think you're going to get this tiny needle through his skin? And he goes, no, but if I get really close. And then, obviously, Brody starts chiming in, and then Hooper just turns, you got any better suggestions? And next thing you know, they're all like it's an assembly party.
Yep.
Putting even Quint, okay, you got to nail it in here. Which is great. Like at that point, see, Quint is so amazing of a character because he's a douche, and then he is a douche.
Yeah, he's not a good guy,
right? But then there's moments where he lightens up.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, like at the beginning, when he's sitting there, and then Chief accidentally pulls the wrong rope. He goes, "Next time, just ask me, Chief. I'll tell you which. You know what I mean? Like, which is not typical of how you just saw him a few minutes ago. Like, let me see your hands. Oh, these are city hands. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, he has a disdain for Hooper because he feels he doesn't belong on the ocean.
Right. It's like,
right.
All you know is from a book.
All you know, or the you're pretty, all the things you learn in the lab don't mean anything.
Right.
Whereas I think Brody, he understands he doesn't know a goddamn thing. He's got a beef with Hooper because he feels he hasn't earned it. Right. He thinks he's earned it, and he hasn't because he's been counting money his whole life.
It's time now for final judgment. Are you ready to rubber stamp this bitch? Here's the final judgment.
All right. Well, it's kind of transparent as to where we think we certainly like the movie. It's whether or matter or not it needs to turn our opinions into fact. And so now it's time to do final judgment. Hey, why not? This is my number 1 movie, so I'll start. And it holds up. It holds up for a lot of reasons, barring the poor 70s parenting, as it's been described by Jay and Melanie, and the fact that, and again, I asked I asked for people that saw this, that shark always looked fake. It always looked fake. In fact, when there are certain scenes in this movie when Hooper's in the cage and they show a real shark, like actual footage of a shark, it doesn't look anything like the mechanical shark. Like, that's not the same shark, like, at all.
Right, and then the lady and guy who were from Australia, they're like, he usually doesn't attack the cage.
Yeah.
And they had to, like, lure it in somehow.
Right, and they had like a that all that real shark footage, but it doesn't look like our shark. It doesn't look like Bruce. So the shark doesn't look real. In fact, most kids that say about this movie, they're like, the shark looks fake. Well, yeah, the shark looks fake. It's not about the shark. All right. It is about the shark, but it's not about the shark. So the shark doesn't hold up, but it never held up. It always looked like crap. In fact, it's good that the barrels were introduced because the shark never worked. That way there's more suspense. But in terms of suspense, musical score, which we didn't talk about, I mean, it's genius. Not just the pirate music in this. Da, 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 and the dolphin music. There's like happy music in this. Then underneath it, you hear the ba-da-da, which is just dinosaur music basically. And obviously, it's a film study. It's a study in how to move a camera. It's a study in how to make the audience feel what you want them to feel. It's a study in how to make the audience look at what you want them to look at. It's fantastic. It's got its flaws, but it's fantastic. So, anybody?
Go ahead, Melanie.
Okay, so I definitely think it holds up. I think if they brought this out in the theaters, especially in the summer, I think a lot of kids would go see it. I think it's an incredible movie in so many ways. The things that I don't think holds up is just as part as, just looking a little dated or, again, with the horrible 70s parenting. Totally 100% agree. You would not leave your kids out on the ocean or a pond by themselves at 4 or 5 years old, especially with no life jacket on and no parents around at all. That's the only thing I think that doesn't hold up. Is the rest of it is just a fantastic movie in every way. If this comes on every couple of days, it's going to be on my TV set. I'll always put it on. If it's on, I'm going to watch it. It's a great movie. My kids like it. They've seen it. My mom watches it constantly when it's on. It's one of those movies. It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing. When it's on, you just go, why am I watching this? I've seen it 100 times. Because it's good. You just have to watch it. Jaws is amazing. And I just kind of like the feeling of the movie too. I just like everything about it. There's just really nothing I don't like about the movie. I love it. I think anybody else would like it too.
Absolutely. I think, we just for a second briefly talked about John Williams and his amazing score, which is iconic. People use it for other things. They used it in Caddyshack 2 weeks ago.
The Jaws movie?
That.
I mean, the music?
Yeah, remember for the Baby Ruth.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
right. They even used it in Airplane. When you see the just the tail of the airplane going through the clouds.
It was brilliant.
And what I love is that Steven Spielberg heard it on the piano when John Williams was showing him, and he says, "This is terrible." And he goes, "No, really, he's a Leviathan. He's just a menacing thing. He's coming after you. It's gonna work." And he lets him do it, and thank God he did, because that music. And by the way, I've heard other people when they're watching it, like sometimes I've heard people react to that, and some people will go, "What's going on here? This is like not like serious music." When the barrels are being, they're chasing after the barrels. Yeah. But to me, it's both Stephen and John Williams reminding you this is a fun film. It's not just scary. And they do Stephen tends to do this with his movies. Like, we'll get into Poltergeist, but like in like a week from now. But he doesn't just give you frights. Like he brings you back and makes you feel good for a few minutes. This is why we're enjoying ourselves during, I'll drink to my leg, you drink to your leg. Those moments. Show me the way to go home. You're feeling great, then scary, even like something happens. Or even the laugh line of, shovel this shit. And then the first major jump scare of the movie. It's like, that's the first reveal. There was no music that followed, or that led up to it, I should say. So much of it. And by the way, this really transcends time, because any kid could watch this and get the shit scared out of them. And they'd also feel delight at other times. So, I mean, how awesome is the moment when the kid is mimicking Brody at the table? Yeah. Like, it's just adorable. And like, it's after the slap. It's the day of the slap, and like he is like, give us a kiss. And he's like, why? Yeah. I need it. And it's just like, I feel that, man. I really felt it. And so I think when something is so well told, like that, and you really feel the emotions, that can hold up, regardless of weird clothing and like obvious stuff that's outdated. I also, one last thing I want to, one thing I always loved about this movie, and once I learned about it, I love their reasoning for filming Martha's Vineyard, because it's shallow, and it's the most shallow water that's far out away from land. So you can't see the land behind you or in any direction, but they needed still to be shallow enough for them to work in it. So he goes, I don't want people to feel safe when they keep seeing land in the background, because they're going to say, well, if it's getting so tense, why don't they just go to that land we keep seeing? And I just love that he thought of that. Yeah. Because not everybody probably would have. And it was just like, it made it all the more scary because you feel alone. So
I also love the
it,
relationship between the parents. I think that was kind of a cute thing to put in the movie. I just think the relationship between them was really nice, which was unlike the book.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they didn't do that in the book. They apparently, what's his name? Hooper had an affair with the mom in the book. And I don't like that. I'm so glad that they didn't put that in there. Because you like the relationship between the parents. It makes you like them more. And I guess apparently, what's the dad's name again?
Brody.
Yeah. So apparently you didn't like Brody that much either. He wasn't that likable of a character. Quint wasn't that likable of a character. Nobody really was. You didn't really get to connect with them as much as you do in the movie. And my favorite part, besides the when they're looking at the book, is I love the beginning of the movie. I love how the beginning feels, and I love the first kill. That whole beginning, I just love it. It draws you in every time, and you're like, I have to watch this movie again. Yep. You just have to watch it again, even though you've already seen it 100 times. You're like, whatever, I gotta watch it again. It's so good.
Because if it didn't have characters you cared about, you wouldn't want to watch it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, you want to watch Statham in the Meg because there's a giant shark, and Statham's cool, but everybody else is like, whatever. Who cares?
And you're not gonna watch it 100 times. Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. And the beginning is amazing. The beginning just draws you in. I love the beginning of the movie. Even before character introduction, it's just the beginning of the movie and how it makes you feel. You have to watch it.
It could be anybody.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Exactly. All of these things could be happening to anybody. And nobody's especially awesome. So,
well, I'd like to say, like every year there is always people like on the news that are like, like there were like 13 deaths over the year, over the summer for sharks. Or attacks anyway, something like that. And I'm exaggerating on the number. I don't know. I have no idea what the number is. But, like I can guarantee you, I'm not going to get attacked in a pool by a shark, regardless of what the people said.
That's crazy.
So, you know what I mean? No, I'm saying like I can guarantee if I don't go swimming in the ocean, swimming, then I can guarantee I'm not going to get eaten by a shark. But it was such a big impact that they even made the land shark thing, which is hysterical. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's on Saturday Night Live. It's called Land Shark. Yeah, he's the voice behind it. But, you don't actually see him. But I love this. There's another scene where you see John Belushi as Hooper. Like he's got the winter hat and he's got the glasses and he's like, "There's no way this." He's looking into a bucket and he says, "There's no way this girl died by falling out of a tree."
Yeah.
It's just so good. Check it out.
That's good stuff.
I would say that what do you think? That wraps it up, guys?
I'd say so. This ends now or an end in 3 hours. I mean,
we could go on forever and ever.
Well, folks, we are on, as you're watching us on YouTube, we are making a triumphant return to YouTube. We took we had just, we gave it a shot for a while and then took it away. And then now that Melanie's here, we're bringing it back. So please like and subscribe. That would be a huge help to us. And so and if you're listening on audio, we have a podcast of the same exact show all over the wherever you get your podcast. And just make sure you please rate and review us there, especially on Apple, because that really gets people. If you like the show, it really doesn't cost anything to do this, and it'll help people find us. So if you can make the show grow, that'll help us out a big deal. So, thank you very much, folks. Have a great week, both Melanie and Chris. Hope you have a great week.
Bye. Yep, you too, Jake.
All right.
Chirp about movie.